Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing today? Going to be doing a review of Elixir Attar's Kalevala. And been a while since I've done a review on a perfume. I don't even know if I truly know how to do a review on a perfume. Here it is, Elixir Attar Kalevala. Hope I'm pronouncing it right. If not, I really don't care. Have it right here. You can see just the sheerness of the oil. Now, this is the type of oil that I want on my skin and not from the colognes and all that stuff. Really a very beautiful composition, a very beautiful attar. If I call it a perfume, my apologies. Some guys get so butthurt over using the wrong terminology. I think terminology is important when it comes to certain things, but it's not an end-all be-all on making a good perfume review or a good video. I refer to all fragrances as perfume. Now, some people are going to say, well, perfume is a concentration, parfum, all this other stuff. And I'm not getting into that. That's a ridiculous rabbit hole we can get into, like calling something cologne. I have Dolce & Gabbana, the one right here. Some call that cologne. It doesn't matter to me. It seems like as you move up kind of the tier level, they call them different things, like you can call the one cologne or something like that, but then they'll call it something like Parfums de Marly, fragrance. When they're both fragrance, they're both perfume. They both kind of suck, but it is what it is. Now, Elixir Attar, a wonderful, wonderful perfume company. Ahmed is a wonderful perfumer. He is a wonderful, I guess you'd call him an alchemist. I'm not really necessarily sure what people in the Middle East prefer to be called, or that do attars preferred to be called blenders. I'm not really sure. But in my eyes, he's a perfumer. He's making oils. Well, he himself is not making them. He's collecting them, I guess you would call it. He can't make them. They're made by God and Mother Nature. So, really, and perfumes like these that are almost bigger than life, that are made to represent something, represent a feeling, an emotion, a memory of someone, is usually so much bigger than just reading the notes, telling you what I smell, and saying if it gives compliments, how long it lasts, so on and so forth. The typical way that perfume reviews go. This perfume, as with several others that I'm going to be talking about over the past next few weeks, my plan is to make enough videos because there's going to be probably a 2-week hiatus that I do not post at all. Is to make enough, that I'm not going to be making videos, I should say. But in my downtime, like at night when my wife is asleep, I can post them. Or if I'm in the bathroom taking a crap, I'll sit there and I'll post them. Stuff like that. So it is what it is. And as everyone else says, without any further ado, Kalevala Elixir Attar, made by Elixir Attar, perfumer Ahmed. I think this was made in 2018. It's meant to smell like the Fire Festival of Juwana. I think that's how you pronounce it, Juwana, in Finland. Ahmed, I guess he vacationed in Finland. And he wanted to make a perfume that reminded him of Juwana, which is basically a bunch of fire festivals, a fire festival, maybe multiple, I'm not really sure. The fire festivals he witnessed and attended. I think Kalevala is a song or an ode or a psalm that they sing or they chant while they're doing these festivals, of like Finnish folklore, mythology, belief system, so on and so forth. And the notes, according to Fragrantica, This is not on a Elixir Attar site or any other site I could find. I was able to find it on Fragrantica. It's not on there. I wish that a lot of these smaller brands, if they discontinue a perfume or they run out, all that other stuff, that they would stop taking them off their website, leave them on there as a reference for people who do have them and are going to make a review about it, or someone who is looking to buy a bottle used secondhand, however you want to phrase it. That way they kind of know and don't have to rely on Fragrantica, because Fragrantica isn't the most reliable source when it comes to the notes, so on and so forth. Jesus, I cannot hold this. Of the notes and so on and so forth. According to Fragrantica, has pine tree, wild berries, and olibanum, gardenia, lily of the valley, and rose, birch tar, cedar, amber, and labdanum. Now, what I do not get is the cedar. I don't get any cedar. But what I do get is the wild berries. I do get the wild berries in the opening. Right off the top, you're hit with some tart and jammy wild berries. Tart and jammy. It doesn't specify which berries. It just says wild berries. So it's tart. Man, I think if I'd done a review from this angle right here, I wouldn't have to deal with the nose issues. But tart and jammy. And then I do get white florals. I can't distinguish whether it is gardenia or lily of the valley, or both of them joining together and being married together with the molecules, with the notes working together. But it does start out very tart, jammy with the berries. You get the white floral. Maybe the jamminess is actually coming from the rose. Maybe the wild berries are kind of tart and sourish, but then the rose is actually bringing the jamminess. That might be what it is. And then you do get a lot of smoke. It's made after a fire festival. It's a lot of smoke. You do get birch tar. You do get that classic charred wood birch tarness, borderlining almost coming to the... I think I look at oak moss and birch tar as cousins, really. They work and they play together quite well. If you look at a lot of older classic French-style perfumery, birch tar and oak moss really marry together quite well. At least I think they do. And then this does have a very thick, dense amber, no doubt brought together by the olibanum, the amber, and labdanum. Now, I'm sure amber's an accord, obviously. That's what kills me about Fragrantica, is they list amber as one specific note, when amber is a conjunction. Amber is an accord of multiple notes together to create amber. We have this idea of what an ambery smell is, and an ambery smell is really brought on by the visuals of Jurassic Park, when the mosquito was caught in the tree sap and it's turned to amber. That is really what everyone recognizes and notices as amber. And then you can even go into the butterscotch candies that your grandma or grandmother or some older lady at church would give you, or an older man at church that his wife died. But not necessarily in the butterscotch flavor, but just kind of the whole amber kind of color to it. But that's what I get. Pine trees. It is a little piney, but it's very smoky. I'm just going to take this out of the way and really tell you what I smell. I'm just going to give it another dab, another wipe on my skin. Let's see. And this perfume review is just purely for my enjoyment. I'm sure not a lot of people have this. Probably a lot of people that do have this aren't fixated on perfume reviews, so on and so forth. Nelson Fragrance, the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan. He has this, I'm pretty sure, but oh yeah, very tart, very jammy. Those berries and the rose up, and the Fragrantica lists rose as a middle note. You know, Fragranica's notes are about as good as the paper this is written on. Actually, let me see what this is. Oh, just cleaning cloths. Yummy. There you go, just a nice little. Oh yeah, very very tart and jammy up top. And then you really do get the gardenia and the lily of the valley. You get a lot of white florals. Like I said, I'm not going to distinguish which one I get most of. My nose isn't that good, especially after countless cigarettes and cigars and diesel fuel and gasoline and all the other stuff. My nose is smelt. And the allergies, allergies. It's season of the allergies. That birch tar really shines through. Birch tar is one of my favorite notes in perfumery. I love it. And birch tar kind of brings out a little bit of leatheriness, almost like a charred. Maybe I'm drawing too much. Maybe I'm thinking about other perfumes, but it does almost give a leathery vibe to it, like a nice charred leather, like you get a cowboy sitting next to the fire, and this isn't a cowboy perfume. It doesn't smell, cowboyish, I guess you would call it. And the leather that I'm getting, no doubt, made up from the olibanum and the birch tar coming together and making a little bit of a marriage. And maybe even the labdanum. Labdanum can have some leathery qualities to it as well, like a kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. You just gotta smell it. But Kalevala, wonderful fragrance. It's been a while since I wore it, but if I remember correctly, it lasts a long time. All that other BS that people seem to care about. This is, I've never been to Finland. I'm not familiar with Finland, but the Scandinavian area in Europe. I feel like, given just like understanding of the Vikings, which I know that's talking about Greenland and Iceland, or Iceland's the one that's not. Iceland is the one that's green. Greenland is the one that is full of ice. So Iceland, this kind of portrays that. It portrays those movies like Braveheart, 13th Warrior, so on and so forth, and those times of just the. And this isn't a green perfume. This is a black perfume. This is a dark perfume. This is, I'm a harlot. I'm a whore. I'm a slut for fine French perfumery. And this really is kind of up there with a lot of them. This has texture. This has volume. This has depth. This is thick. This has hair on its chest. This has a slight amount of, this does not have body odor, but it has those manly characteristics of it. That's quite amazing. This has 0 reviews on Fragrantica. I don't even know if it has any reviews on YouTube, but it's about to. Dark fire. It really is like a fire festival. It really puts you in mind of sitting there. I'm not sure what drinks they have in Finland, but like you're almost sitting there drinking a berry tea or something like that. There's some lily of the valley in the background, but just a fire festival. You get a lot of fire, a lot of charred wood from the birch tar. Wonderful perfume. Not going to beat it. Not going to beat the horse to death, but wonderful perfume. If you have Kalevala, however you want to pronounce it, put it in the comments below and let me know what you think about it. Hope everyone has a great day.